Kochnik here for Extra Time. Once again, in our pre-match look at a very, very significant match. In fact, it's game 6 between the Sunrisers Hyderabad and RCB, the Royal Challengers Bangalore. A very significant game. Of course, we've got the likes of Warner versus Kohli, a number of other matchups which we'll talk about throughout this particular show. But I won't go any further without introducing our array of guests. Firstly, below me, in the screen at least, Ashish Shukla, an esteemed senior journalist of great note, who's wearing a lovely red top. And I think they matched together. I think both Ashish and Chandresh Narayan, I think you actually must have talked together, because Chandresh is also here. He has another lovely red top on. How are you,
who said journalism is dead?
And also we have, representing the Bharat Army. The Bharat Army are a very strong force to be reckoned with. They've been in all our shows. They've got a significant coverage throughout the world of cricket as fans, a very strong fan base. That is Ronak Jain. Welcome, Ronak. And Ronak is actually in Mumbai. That's correct, isn't it, Ronak? Great. And it's amazing to have a game.
Thank you, Norman. It's a pleasure representing Bharat Army.
It's our pleasure as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Now, in fact, it's very interesting. We obviously had a game yesterday, which you would all have seen, which had some conjecture. That is the way that KKR actually played their match. They seemed to almost implode in their innings after Mumbai Indians also had an element of imploding as well. Very interesting game in terms of the way that it panned out. KKR missed out a great opportunity to take hold of that match. And leading into this match, of course, these two sides, Royal Challengers Bangalore, are in a form of ascendancy. They've got a very strong unit. They've got the likes of Glenn Maxwell joining their team, and Sunrisers Hyderabad are also in a form of ascendancy. I just for the sake of you guys, I'll let you know, I often use the level of hunger of teams, the top 8 sides. I believe the level of hunger is the important aspect, how much they really want to win this tournament. And I think Mumbai Indians on paper, we would all agree, is certainly there. But I think the hunger may not be as strong as perhaps a Delhi Capitals or a Sunrisers Hyderabad or maybe an RCB. We'll see as the tournament pans out how that actually occurs. But I do want to, in fact, we have a brand new sponsor launching today, and I want to let you all know about it. This brand new sponsor has come on deck. It's actually My 11 Circle. Now, they are a very, very significant fantasy sports app. My 11 Circle have joined us, and we welcome them as our main sponsor for this particular series and the pre and post shows that we will have. And I'll go through some aspects of what that particular app has to offer. You can, for example, win 1 crore rupees as a first prize if you use this particular app, and you actually get the chance to beat VVS Laxman and get a chance to win 5 times the cash. So it's a very significant body of money there. Download this app now, the actual fantasy app which we'll have, and be able to get 1,500 rupees joining bonus, as well as 20% extra cash if you do so. A significant partner that we're bringing together. We really applaud My 11 Circle's involvement in this particular session. Hurry and make your team now and bring that team together. I like the fantasy apps. I don't know about you guys, but I rather enjoy them. So thanks for that. All right, today's match. I'm actually chomping at the bit to see the likes of Warner versus Kohli. That's a great matchup. Even Maxwell and Warner will have a bit of banter the two, because even though they're both Australians, there's an element of New South Wales versus Victoria about them as well. Very significant rivalries are there, and I think that'll pan out in the match as well. Let's get Ashish Shukla. Let's get your take on this match. What are your initial feelings about this match?
Yeah, see, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised to see Bangalore win the first game against Mumbai Indians. It was the last ball win, but most of the cards they wanted to click, it clicked. Kohli looked good in his stay of 30 odd in the middle, and Maxwell and ABD Villiers came good. So Bangalore promises much, not to say that they have a bowling attack which looks all the more potent with the addition of a new Indian medium pacer, Harshal Patel. We had heard little about him in the past, but his tailing in swingers and his reverse swing, which he managed on the Chennai pitch, which again is the match, today's match, the venue of today's match. So I think Bangalore looks a very settled side. And the attack which Sunrisers Hyderabad have in two spinners in Rashid Khan and Mohammad Nabi, both Afghani players, I think it would be a good matchup between two bowling sides. They both look a little light on their middle order, but I think on the balance, it seems a more bowling dominated two sides than batting dominated, despite the presence of Kohli and Warner.
Excellent. No, that's a good summary there. Chandrish, what's your thoughts? What do you feel about this game?
I think that Bangalore start off as favorites because of the fact that Sunrisers are coming off a loss. In the first game, Sunrisers did not accelerate at the right time. I felt Manish Pandey left it a bit too far and too much to do towards the end. And I think they needed to give more responsibility to someone like an Abdul Samad. Abdul Samad is a big striker of the ball, and he showed in his brief stay that he can be quite a handy customer, especially against the likes of Pat Cummins, which was a bit of a surprise. I think that that's where they lost the game, and I think time has come for them to maybe push Samad a bit before Vijay Shankar so that they can make the most of the chase. Apart from that, I don't think Sunrisers need to tinker a bit too much with the lineup. And I agree with Mr. Shukla that the Royal Challengers Bangalore appear a lot more settled this year than the previous year, and I think that Kyle Jamieson makes a huge difference in that. And I think they will. I think that they might exploit Glenn Maxwell a bit more than any of the other franchises have so far in this tournament.
It is interesting when you talk about Glenn Maxwell in particular. I think the presence of AB de Villiers and Kohli will help settle Maxwell, will help guide Maxwell. Because to be really honest with you, he does need a bit of guidance in the match. He can get quite wayward, and he needs that motivation. AB de Villiers is as calm as you can get, and Kohli's also inspirational in the way he approaches that part of it. I've just noticed, guys, before I get to Ronak, I've noticed that Jason Holder is out of quarantine and is available for selection, so he may come into the mix. We're not sure. I'm seeing that Natarajan is stretching out on the boundary with a very good friend of my high performance trainer, Mario Villavera, who's actually from Sri Lanka. Now that's a bit of a sign of that Natarajan involvement as well. Generally, we see these early issuing of caps of any new players. That'll be a telltale sign, but we haven't heard anything at this stage. But I think it's going to be a very interesting match. Ronak Jain, your perspective. Now, you're a Mumbaiite, if that's a term. Do you call people from Mumbai Mumbaiites? Would that be a way, you guys?
They call them Mumbai Cars. Like
Okay.
they add a KAR to it. So Mumbai Cars is what they call.
Okay. So tell us your thoughts, Ronak, on the match.
Yeah. So RCB had a good first game. I think after every option, there should be another option wherein all 7 teams bid to play the first match against Mumbai, because Mumbai definitely seemed to lose their first match in every game, and I think that's the best time to play Mumbai. So RCB were very fortunate to face Mumbai. It was a close game, to be honest, much more closer than we had expected to be. However, the senior members showed their class. AB, Kohli, Maxwell, all 3 of them played really well. But I think SRH is going to be a tough nut to crack, because we've seen in the recent past as well, SRH has been dominating RCB in terms of head-to-heads. It's a tough team in terms of matchups as well. Kohli does not have particularly a good record against SRH. I mean, Sandeep Sharma alone has dismissed him 7 times, and he scored around 58 runs in 55 balls against SRH. So in terms of strike rate and in terms of matchups as well, RCB do have some sort of weakness there. However, I think the kind of pitches we play are suiting us in Chennai. We have people like Washington Sundar, Chahal, Harshad Patel to take the pace of the ball and make inroads. However, it's too early at the moment right now. I think even Hyderabad, despite their loss against KKR, they played really well. It was just maybe one poor innings from Manish Pandey, a couple of hits here and there, and they would have been able to chase 180. So I see this as an evenly matched contest, maybe a bit more difficult than the Mumbai game. And I think this game is all going to be about matchups. It's going to be Kohli versus Sandeep Sharma, Rashid Khan versus AB and Glenn Maxwell, because they have a sort of weakness against leg spin, and Washington Sundar against Warner. So a lot of key matchups here, a lot of high quality international players on show, and I just hope it's an interesting match.
There's also been some discussion around, thank you, Ronak, for that. There's been some suggestions about Zampa and Richardson's availability. They'll be pretty much ready, not for this match, but probably more for Sunday. I think Zampa's inclusion when he's available will be very significant as well. But yeah, that's not to be decided today. Chennai. Now, the pitch in Chennai, the general conditions in Chennai, as we saw yesterday, did provide some relatively low scores. The Mumbai pitch had some relatively high scores. Either way, and I think it's very important, I'll make this clear. My thoughts about the pitch, to me, both sides have got the same conditions. I don't think it should be favouring one or the other. The only disappointment somewhat is the lack of home ground advantage, but I think the teams will get over that as well, as again, it's a level playing field for all. I must admit, CSK do miss out on Chennai, which they would have loved to have played on. In terms of the toss, we'll talk about that at the time around another 20 minutes, and obviously the team makeups. As I think both Chandra and Ashish alluded to, I don't think there'll be too many player changes from the first batch to the second. I think, as we saw yesterday, both teams were pretty much as per program, weren't they? I think de Kock was the only one that came in for Chris Lynn, which you could argue yesterday they would have liked to have had Chris Lynn out there, having scored 49 in this match before, and de Kock not necessarily performing well. I think they needed to find a way to keep Chris Lynn on that side. All right, guys. Ashish, what is your take on the bowling lineups here from both of these sides? Because yesterday's two teams, I would argue, had somewhat of a lack of strength, hence the 220 scorelines. What about the bowling lineups for these sides?
Now, we have heard about Sandeep Sharma and Virat Kohli matchup, which Ronak has highlighted. The fact is, the Hyderabad bowling attack is largely made of Indian medium pacers. We have two veterans, one of them probably the best, which Ian Morgan, or was it Michael Vaughan, who said that Bhuvneshwar Kumar remains the best white ball bowler in the world. He's outstanding. He had an off game in his first match, but Bhuvneshwar Kumar is a class act. So we have three medium pacers in Hyderabad. It is young left arm seamer Natarajan. We have a skiddy customer in Sandeep Sharma, and then we have Bhuvneshwar Kumar, the spearhead of the attack. And then we have two Afghanis, that is Nabi and Rashid Khan. So this looks a pretty balanced attack if you think about in terms of the balance between pace and spin. You say that pitches don't make much differences in T20 game, but it does. If you look at all the matches which have been played in the IPL this year, teams have chosen to bat second after winning the toss, which tells you that it's not only just a T20 strategy, it's also a fact that the dew does kick in Chennai and Mumbai and most of the coastal cities in this country. And dew does make it easier on tired, weary-looking pitches like Chennai has. The teams which win the toss, they choose to field first. And that's only because the batting becomes easier and the targets are never going to be any big in the 200 region anyway. So if you look at the two attacks, one, the team winning the toss would opt for field. And second, both have very balanced attack. And I think it would be whoever bowls better on this day in a match which I don't see having a score in excess of 160, 170.
Very good summary, Ashish, indeed. Although I think the Rashid Khan factor needs to stand out in this match. He remains
the best economy bowler in the history of IPL, which tells you a thing or two about this very fast arm, very fast round arm action of this leg spinner, and his googlies in particular trouble the foreign batsmen a great deal.
It's well known that most teams take the strategy of just seeing him out and try to hold that end when he bowls to try and thwart his particular factor. But yeah, that can be a detrimental thing to do as well. I think, on a general sense, some of the batters that actually take to him with skill can also be very effective. I think to be too defensive actually plays into the hands of Rashid Khan. I think it's dangerous to be too ultra defensive, Rashid Khan, indeed.
One of the advantages of pushing Maxwell ahead at number 4 is that when he starts attacking, you need to bring on your best bowlers. And that way you end up consuming Bhuvneshwar Kumar or a Rashid Khan. So which helps your later batsmen in the final slog overs. So Maxwell plays a very important role, not only in accelerating the scoring, but also ensuring that the best bowlers are used up.
Absolutely. Very clever to use him, that's what. I often talk, guys, about the relevance of the top 3 of the batting order and potentially the top 4. That to me is the springboard for the team. And quite frankly, a good batting side in a T20 format shouldn't need more than the top 4 batsmen. Let's be honest. If they're in true form, they should be able to consume the innings and actually win on the front foot. Or it almost becomes superfluous to have beyond the middle order in a true sense of a winning side. And if you go to the Mumbai sides, we often saw that the top order performed well, and they certainly took advantage of that. It's going to be very interesting to see where the likes of in the Delhi Capitals makeup, they have a very strong top order, and in particular the relationship to punts. I think we'll see him bat early on as much as possible. So that's a significant part here. Both sides need to bat well early, and I'm particularly focusing on Dave Warner. Dave Warner, quite frankly, has been out of form for some time, both in the Australian series and here currently. His importance to the batting lineup, despite being captain, is paramount. I would argue yesterday Owen Morgan's performance was very disappointing as well. They both, as captains of their respective sides, need to stand up more, and I'm hoping we see more from Warner today. I think that's an important aspect of the game.
And he loves to bat too. Yeah, he loves to bat.
Someone got any chance this year. They have to be exactly. Chandresh, what's your thoughts? You've been deep in thought there. Your hand, I can tell a deep in thought look. When the hands to the face, that's a deep in thought look.
No, I've been listening with intent to what both you and Mr. Shukla have been talking about, and I think that one key aspect of today's game is how well someone like Yuzvendra Chahal bowls. He's playing his 100th match for Royal Challengers Bangalore. I'm quite interested to see, because he's been struggling for form in the white ball format, and he was even dropped by the Indian think tank. So it's going to be interesting to see how he performs. Also, I'm quite interested to see how Washington Sundar performs, because they pushed him up the order because they didn't have Devdutt Padikkal in the previous game. I don't think he's quite ready to face top class bowling up front. I think he's still a number 5, number 6 kind of a player. I'm not quite certain that he needs to open the batting. Apart from that, I think that your talk about the pitch is also quite interesting, because we saw yesterday 2 very dangerous batsmen in Dinesh Karthik and Andre Russell struggling to get going on that pitch at Chennai, which is a telltale sign, because this is just the 5th game of the tournament and about the 2nd or 3rd game here at Chennai. The fact that the 2 most dangerous batsmen couldn't get going tells you a lot about how the nature of pitch is going to dictate the course of action at this particular venue. That's why I'm quite interested to see Chahal bowling, Sundar, how he performs. Plus, I quite like the look of, say, a Sandeep Sharma and a Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Like Mr. Shukla said, Bhuvi is one of the best, if not the best in the world in white ball cricket. I think on such slow pitches, these kind of bowlers are very dangerous, because they're very accurate and they can exploit the conditions brilliantly. Plus, Jason Holder is available for Sunrisers Hyderabad, so he could be an additional bowler who could come in handy on such a kind of a pitch. So I think all in all, this promises to be a matchup of 2 equally matched sides, and I am particularly keen to see, like I said, Chahal bowling today.
Interesting. We haven't talked about Padikkal, have we, regarding the potential of him playing today and batting with Kohli. Now, they've had partnerships which were successful last year. I expect Padikkal to open with Kohli, I would imagine.
Yeah, Padikkal would play for India. He could be on the flight to England this summer. The Indian team rates him so high. Only 20-year-old, he looks like a picture of calm at the crease. Very organized, the same stillness which you see in Shubman Gill, and he can play all around. He can play big shots. He can play in the gaps. Beautiful timer of the ball. This 20-year-old looks a real deal for Indian cricket. So Devdutt Padikkal, if he comes today, I'm sure he would delight the cricket lovers, the fans, and it just shows how much talent Indian cricket has. And Devdutt Padikkal, the Indian team rates very highly. I can't emphasize enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. But where are we going to fit all these players in their touring side? How many players are they're going to need to take 70 to fit all these potential players in? It's ridiculous. They've got 4 or 5 gun sides almost. It's becoming ridiculous. Maybe we'll take a few Indian players and throw them to Australia and quarantine and leave them there for a while, shall we? That might be an idea.
Yeah.
Are you
Maybe.
agreeing? Are you publicly agreeing to that? I'll make note of that. That Ashish Shukla has agreed with me, and that'll go on record in my next article. As agreed by Ashish Shukla live on television. Okay, good. All right. Ronak J, now, again, you're in Mumbai.
Yeah.
But who do you support?
Yes, yeah.
Not yes. Who do you support?
In fact, I do support Rajasthan Royals and RCB. So both teams are my favorites. Despite staying in Mumbai, I personally don't have a liking for the team.
Well, as I say to all the Bharat Army fans that come on the show, I fully expect you to have a wall-to-ceiling photograph of Kohli if you're RCB, or Rajasthan Royals, someone like Samson. That's a true fan. In my day, I had photos up on the wall of all my favourite players. Who did you have on your wall when you were young?
I picked up cricket very early. I am from a small town in India and grew up on Sunil Gavaskar's exploits, and then Kapil Dev came in. And then I spent 30 years covering international teams all over the world. So I covered a hell of a lot of test matches in international cricket on international grounds all over the world. So yes, this T20 has been towards the fag end of my cricket career, which I left some 7-8 years back and started doing a bit of political, started trying my hand in political reporting. But cricket is a game which draws me, even if I don't particularly, put my back to it. But cricket continues to draw me as it has done today. And I like the speed at which this game is played these days. I like the fitness of players. I like the 360-degree strokes which they make. I like the clever use of bowling wide of the crease and bowling wide yorkers and slower ones and off-cutters, all those reverse sweeps and ramp shots. So cricket has become very exciting. IPL must be given credit for it. And I wish there are more test series. There are more teams which are of equal standards in test cricket, which it is not at the moment. I am particularly distressed to see South Africa going down the hill pretty fast. New Zealand looked impregnable in their own yards in test cricket. In white cricket, they remain a force. England, Australia, India. I wish Sri Lanka and Pakistan and West Indies, they pick up the baton quickly and international cricket becomes exciting again. So all said and done, T20 in the limited format is the flavor of the game, and we flow with it.
But Ashish, we've had a renaissance with Test cricket, haven't we? After that magnificent last Test at the Gabba, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have a romantic feeling about Test cricket, you never would.
And I heard my friend Chandresh saying that he's not particularly sure about Washington Sundar's batting ability, but I wish this question was posed to Pat Cummins, who he came at Gava and hit for that thundering 6.
Absolutely.
And a lot of players in Indian dressing room fell off their chair. I was told by Ravi Shastri that I just couldn't believe it. I mean, that the first thing he came, Pat Cummins, at his best. Pat Cummins today arguably could be compared to fast bowler of any era. Outstanding fast bowler. Great fast bowler, Pat Cummins. And this guy comes, young guy, playing his first or second test match. First ball on his body, pivots and hooks it over fine leg for a 6.
just to clarify, I never said, never doubted his ability. I just
Yeah.
felt that in the first game, maybe
Yeah.
they should not have opened with him.
Yes.
My view is that he should have batted number 5 because
Perfect.
that is more a natural place for him
Yes.
than playing up front against, say, a Bumrah and the likes of
Yeah.
Bolt.
I stand
Bold.
corrected. I
Yeah.
stand corrected. Yeah.
But having said that, though, Washington Sundar shows a lot of guts, a lot of character to even want to open in this situation. He shows the determination that he's willing to take on anything, a free-spirited thought, which I commend greatly. Ronak,
Not
how old
only
are you,
with the
Ronak?
bat. Yeah. I'm
How old are you?
29.
20,
29.
29. You don't look 29 at all. I would have thought 21 or 22.
That I get that quite often, so pretty happy till it exists.
Oh.
I mean, I'm often called 29. As you can see, I'm very close.
Yeah.
Chandra, stop laughing under your breath. Like, even though you're not feeling well, stop laughing. All right. Ronak, so from your perspective, Ronak, you support RCB, Rajasthan Royals, but today it's going to be RCB, isn't it, for you?
It is. And as the panel was mentioning, I think we'll have Devdutt Padikkal back in the team, and I think that solves a lot of our opening problems. If you see two players that I was looking forward to this IPL, one was Prithvi Shaw and second was Devdutt Padikkal, because Devdutt has had a tremendous Vijay Hazare trophy. He scored more than 700 runs with 4 centuries. He's been in tremendous form right now. And even for the last year, he was a leading run scorer for RCB. The only concern I have with them opening is that Virat Kohli and Devdutt both seem to play the anchor role, and that is why their strike rates are never above 130. That, as we saw in the last season, our power play scores have been very low, and this is something I hope RCB improves this year, wherein they go all out and not play that anchor role. Maybe one of them does, and one of them shows that attacking instinct, because we have a lot of firepower to follow. Maxwell, AB, they can take the game on their own. So I would like to see some aggressive intent, and I think from Devdutt we saw that in the Vijay Hazare Trophy where he was striking the ball at will. And I think if he carries the same form for us, it would really help us solve that opening power play worries where we are scoring at around 7.5 runs and over. So that is something I want. And secondly, Chahal to step up. I mean, as Chandresh also mentioned, you have Rashid Khan at one end performing to his best abilities, but you have Chahal who's conceding maybe 10 to 12 runs and over in every match. I think it's an important year for him considering the World T20 tournament. And from the Indian side perspective, we have a lot of fast bowlers. We have a lot of batsmen who have consolidated the spot. But in the spin department, I think there's a lot of worries right now with Kuldeep losing his place, Chahal losing his place. We don't know exactly who's going to lead the spin bowling for us. And I think this is the perfect season for Chahal to step up his game and be that lead bowler not only for RCB but also for make his claim for the Indian spot as well, Indian team as well.
Good points. Good points. Okay, who are the 4 non-Indian players, or some people call them foreign players, for both sides? Chandresh, who do you think will be for RCB today?
I think RCB is pretty cut and dry. They have AB de Villiers, Maxwell, Kyle Jamieson. These 3 are pretty much set in stone in my view. And the 4th one could be depending on who they want to play at the last moment. I think for RCB it's pretty much cut and dry. Even for Sunrisers Hyderabad, I think that the fact that they have got Bairstow, Captain Warner, Rashid Khan, and Nabi, those 4 pick themselves up basis what they did in the first match. So I think that both sides are.
No place for Williamson?
I find it difficult for Williamson to make it to this 11 because the makeup of the side is such that they can either play Williamson or Bairstow, in my view, because that kind of weakens their bowling attack. And I think that if you drop a Bairstow, then you have to bring in a Williamson. Bairstow didn't do anything wrong in the first game. It did fairly well. And I think that the fact that they already have Nabi doing well with the ball as well, then I think in that case, they don't need to make any changes over there. Plus, they've got options in Vijay Shankar who can ball a bit, Samad who can ball a bit. The only concern for me is the strike rate of Manish Pandey.
Absolutely. But before we get to your run, what about the suggestion that Riddiman Saha does not open? Do you want him
If
to
he
open?
if he does not open, he's out of the side.
Yeah, that's where it becomes very significant.
Yeah,
That's where it's pivotal to the situation. And Bearsell will then take on the keeping, you're saying.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because if Saha is not opening the batting in this lineup, then I don't see him playing in the 11. Because
Fair
it becomes very difficult to fit him in.
Okay.
But they need a quality keeper like Saha because of the fact that the pitch is affording a bit of turn, it's keeping low. So against the likes of Rashid Khan, you need someone who is accurate and who's very efficient behind the stumps, not just for the spinner but also for the medium pace bowlers.
Good point. Ronak, what did you want to say? You had your hand up.
Yeah, so with respect to Kane Williamson, I think he was a big miss in the first match. If you see the two matches that happened in Chennai, where RCB chased against Mumbai and yesterday KKR chased against Mumbai again, you need a quality player to play again on such spinning tracks. Yesterday, Calcutta didn't have someone to counter that. In the first game as well against Mumbai, RCB luckily had AB de Villiers, who's again a champion player who can do everything. But without that AB de Villiers knock, I think it would have been difficult for RCB also to have chased at 160. So on such spin-friendly tracks, I think Kane Williamson is a must. I guess he's nursing an elbow injury right now, so even though he might be, he won't be available to play for the injury itself. But I think right now, I think the toss has happened. I think Hyderabad are chasing again. So I'm not sure whether having someone like a Manish Pandey at that position will be enough for them to chase down a target. I think the top order needs to do the heavy lifting of getting the maximum runs because on such spin playing conditions, you need one technical skilled player to take the team home rather than scoring 30, 40 odd runs at that strike rate.
All right, I'm going to just quickly interrupt. As you said, Sunrisers have won the toss and have chosen to bowl. Okay, so that's the Sunrisers have won the toss, chosen to bowl. An expected decision on the part of the winning captain, of course. I've been telling everybody all the last few weeks, I hate when they say, I've chosen to win the toss and I've chosen to chase. I hate that. You don't choose to chase. You either choose to bat or bowl. I mean, I chase girls. I don't chase in the game of cricket. I want to bat or bowl. It annoys me that too much. I don't know which commentator has started that terminology, but let's stamp it out right here and now. Nobody elects to chase. Okay, they elect to bat or bowl. Period. And you also don't elect to field. You elect to bat or bowl.
It just rolls well with the tongue. I choose to chase. I mean that.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue. I mean, you know what? When I play cricket, I never chose to field ever. I didn't want to field. I wanted to bat or do something. I didn't want to. It sounds like a 12th man says that. So they won the toss and they elected to bowl. Period. Okay. So I'm going to be very. If I hear Ronak, if I hear you say the word chase, I'm going to chase you. All right.
The word is banned from my language. The word is banned.
It's a 5-letter word.
Norman, your preferences have changed.
Sorry?
Your preferences of chasing something in skirt has changed. You're saying about Ronak.
I'm not going to admit to that in public. It may well be my thing, but you can take two guesses on that one. I think you'd be right. All right. We digress. Let's go back to have a look at the story. Warner has said that their fielding wasn't as good as expected last time. They lacked energy. Nadeem comes in for Sandeep Sharma and Jason Holder for Nabi. So they've made two changes. Quite significant.
Who comes in? Jason Holder comes in for whom?
Mohammad Nabi.
Okay. And Sandeep Sharma goes.
It's a good move.
Sandeep Sharma has been replaced by Nadeem.
Shahbaz Nadeem.
Shahbaz.
By Shahbaz Nadeem. Another interesting comment that Kohli has made is.
Which again
Kohli has actually had Paddy Kohli coming in for Patida. So So there's been.
And he's mentioned that Shahbaz will. He's mentioned that Shahbaz Ahmed will bat at number 3, which is a surprising statement to make. So Padikal and Kohli will open, and he's saying Shahbaz Ahmed will bat at 3. Don't know if that will work, but it's an off-field sort of decision that he's taken, and that also before the first ball is bowled. So
it's interesting, isn't it? So Kohli with Padikal, Shabazz. Then we've got Maxwell, De Villiers, Washington Sundar, Dan Christian, Jamison, Siraj, and Chahal. That's actually I rather like the RCB side, to be honest with you. I like it. What do you think? Ashish, what do you think?
I would like to dwell on this Ronak quip where he says that Kohli has declared his hand before, and he says that Shahbaz Ahmed would bat at number 3. Now, this as a captain, this could only mean that you want that Hyderabad doesn't put its best bowler in the initial overs and saves it for Maxwell and AB de Villiers' onslaught later on, which could allow Shahbaz to target the lesser bowlers. This could be a tactical declaration, and but I feel both the sides are a little light in the lower half of their batting order. They can do a little bit of depth. Abdul Samad has a lot of potential. Vijay Shankar has a lot of potential. Daniel Christian, I mean that now Washington Sundar also would bat lower down the order. So I think Shahbaz Ahmed coming at 3 could only be a pinch hitter, and which could be a kind of a thumbing your nose at the powerful bowling lineup of Hyderabad. But let's see. Shahbaz primarily is a spinner, but as a pinch hitter, let's see if he could do wonders for Bangalore, who could do with 20 to 30 extra runs.
Look, I applaud the changes. I think this is very, I would argue, somewhat aggressive, somewhat forthright.
Jason Holder, I back for the simple reason. If you remember the first game, Marco Jensen, all the tall bowlers who hit this deck, and it was an uneven bounce yesterday. If it is the same pitch, which had a smattering of grass, and then whenever it put on the, when it was pitched on the grassy part of it, it kind of tended to behave differently. So I think Jason Holder, with his height and his accuracy, could really test batsmen. It won't allow them to hit freely and through the line. So tall bowlers on Chennai pitch are an asset.
Absolutely. And Jason,
and this does not look like a traditional.
Sorry, Rana. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this doesn't look like a traditional Chennai pitch where it's turning from ball one. I think the pitches right now have something to offer for everyone, even for the fast bowlers, the spinners. And I think bowlers who can take the pace off, who can bowl those cutters, are doing really well this season. So I think Jason Holder is a very good pick. I'm not sure about Shahbaz Ahmed as such, because to be honest, I've not seen him that much with the bat, and we don't have he doesn't have that much of a batting record in IPL. Also, he didn't bowl that much in the last game. So we saw Shahbaz bowl only 1 over and bowl only 1 over. I don't know whether he's taking up a spot where maybe a Saini could be used, who is more likely to be guaranteed 3 to 4 overs. So it's something. I'm not sure whether it will work in the long run, but let's see how the game progresses, and he might not come to bat as well if the top 2 perform really well.
So Jason Holder played particularly well in the series against Sri Lanka at home in the West Indies, and he's in good form. All right, Chandresh, what's your take on? Well, obviously Saha has been selected, and looks like he's going to open. They're sticking to that. What's your thoughts on that side?
I think SRH looks a very good side, and particularly like the look of Shahbaz Nadeem, because I think Shahbaz Nadeem is a terrific bowler. He's been hard done by because he's playing in an era where Ravindra Jadeja and the Akshar Patels of the world are doing well for India. In any other era, he would have played a lot more matches for India. I think he's a terrific, accurate bowler, and he picks up buckets of wickets every season in Ranji Trophy and also in the other short formats. And he can be particularly dangerous up front because he's very accurate. And against the likes of Virat, it will be quite interesting to see how he plays, how he bowls to the likes of Virat, because he has a point to prove. And also, I think I quite like the fact that RCB have given themselves a lot of bowling options. Shahbaz Ahmed may be superfluous to the requirement of the side, but I think that they have a lot more bowling options than the previous seasons. And I think that's the big change that I see in the RCB lineup this year, that they're giving Kohli with enough options when on the field, and then it's up to them to make most of what they have with them. I think overall, 2 evenly matched sides. I still believe RCB has the edge.
I would definitely agree with RCB having the edge, absolutely. But Sunrise Hyderabad couldn't actually pull out it's going to depend on how they start the match and how much control they have in their bowling, how they thwart the RCB batting to give themselves a good chance at the second innings. They won the toss and they've done the bowl thing. They're bowling first. My hat's off to them. All right, Chandresh. No, in fact, go with Ashish. Any concerns that you see in the selections, or anything concerning you?
Bowlers win matches, and I think it all would depend if you could restrict the side to 150, 160. From there, your hopes brighten. But if Kohli's and Maxwell's and De Villiers and Devdutt Patikal run away, then it's going to be a long night for Hyderabad. They have done what they needed to do. They have got 6-7 bowling options, which I think is paramount in T20 cricket. You need to have 6 bowling options. 5 won't do. Somebody could line up some bowlers and or have a go at some bowlers. So it's a bowling heavy sides, both sides, despite having some really all-time greats in Kohli's and Warners and AB de Villiers. But bowlers would win the game, and Hyderabad would be hoping it won't be a repeat of previous night, and they would be able to restrict this mighty Bangalore lineup to 160.
It's a big ask, isn't it? Well, having seen what happened yesterday with scores of 152 and 142, it's quite likely the 160 mark will be an expectation at the very least.
Yeah.
This may not be the day for it, but I can't wait for Kohli to hit 100 in a T20 match. I'm getting frustrated.
Yeah. Kohli hasn't. Yeah. But Kohli, I think I like the fact that he doesn't tamper with his technique much, only because it's a T20 cricket. He's much like Kane Williamson, who can use the gaps, who could play inside out or play a couple of shots on one delivery. He could go inside and hit it over covers, or go inside and hit it over mid wicket, or step aside and hike it over extra cover. So Kohli doesn't tamper with. He's not a 6-hitter as such, but he would pick up the pace as he goes along. And if he bats 20 overs, like David Warner also tries to do that. He's not all shots to begin with in IPL. He likes to bat through. And I think Kohli would have a similar role in mind.
I still think the most significant player in the RCB camp is somewhat of a quiet achiever, and that's Dan Christian. He's got this Midas touch, as you know, having won many tournaments throughout the years. His sheer presence, that winnability, he tends to turn that into that to the rest of the team.
I tell you what, I somehow am not quite enamored with names like James Neesham and Marcus Stoinis. They all have done brilliantly in Big Bash, or Dan Christian. I still feel they are middling kind of characters. They are not your Kieran Pollard, which in any way, international cricket doesn't have many Pollards. But Dan Christian, okay, middling kind of character for me, not a deciding factor for a team.
Okay, all right. To Bhuvi, we're expecting something out of Bhuvi. He's falling. I mean, I'll take a step back. Mohammad Shami in the last match.
Yeah, he goes for wickets, and that's not a bad thing to do in T20 cricket. Like Dale Steyn says that he was told by Kohli just to go for the wickets. It doesn't matter you go for runs or whatever. You are fast. You can really bowl your Yorkers, get the reversing. So Mohammad Shami is a match winner. He runs through his side. So Mohammad Shami does what he's asked to do and what he loves doing, that is bustle in and kind of keep it between the stumps and keep it moving around. Skiddy customer, brilliant bowler. Mohammad Siraj is there with Bangalore, who again is a newcomer but brilliant. I mean that Mohammad Siraj has warmed so many Indian hearts in Australia. So I would like to see who bowlers would win this game. Leave aside Warners and Kohli's.
It's intriguing with the level of domestic cricket that's actually churned out some great young players. We saw the Punjab Kings, for example. Some of their bowling lineup certainly came through as impressive.
In just 4 or 5 days, I have seen 2 young cricketers who have absolutely delighted me. You have this Patel guy from Bangalore, and this Chetan Sarkaria, the team which Ronak goes for. Rajasthan Royals. Chetan Sarkaria was a brilliant performer, a 5 foot nothing, a fast bowler who could bowl all variety of deliveries. He bowled the last over, and he could boy, he could field. The catch he took off Ishan Kishan in that game. So these youngsters who have very hard life to go back to really struggle to come up to this level. Only 20s, but they are really leaving a mark on the big stage of IPL.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's exciting for the future of Indian cricket. Let's be honest. And they've got to keep blooding these domestic players. They've got to keep taking a chance, give them exposure. Not unlike what Pakistan have done a lot with some of their young players. India have to continue, especially the northern region of India and down towards the Chennai, Kerala area. There's a lot of players in those areas that are coming through by a long stretch.
Yeah.
Chandra, you okay? You're starting to wane there. Are you starting to think of a RCB victory, or what's your thoughts?
No, I'm not thinking that far ahead. I'm quite interested to see how the pitch behaves today and how the chase takes place, because yesterday something was amiss in the chase. I think it left somewhat of a bad taste in the sense that it was very odd to see, like I said, Dinesh Karthik and Andre Russell struggle. I hope we don't have that kind of a struggle today. But credit was also due to Rahul Chahar and Krunal Pandya, the way they bowled. Mumbai Indians were supposed to have a weak spin attack, but I think both of them have stepped up very well so far in this competition. So that's why I'm quite interested to see how the chase takes place more than the first half of the innings. I'm quite interested in seeing the second half of the innings.
Okay, and remember the word chase is a dirty word here.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm really how they
strike.
I was about to say that.
Strike.
Yeah. Go after.
I'm just joking.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to finish up very shortly with who our expected victories will be, who's going to be victorious and who won't be, and a bit about the next game. But before I do that, Tabashas, I'm going to get your help. I'm going to bring our sponsors in one more time, as they are excellent partners of this show now. We want to make sure their presence is felt. So I'm going to be talking about the sponsors yet again, which of course are My 11 Circle. And they certainly are a feature app, they're a fantasy app of great note. And they certainly are really have certain unique features about it. They'll actually let you literally play with champions like Dada, Rahane, and VVS Laxman. Who wouldn't want to beat VVS Laxman? I certainly would. I think there's going to be a great inclusion into your daily diet. Again, you can win 1 crore worth of rupees as first prize. You can beat the likes of VVS Laxman and get a chance to win 5 times the cash. Download that app now. I'm trying to download it now. I've got my phone in my hand. I'm going to download it now and get a 1,500 rupees just by joining. What a bonus. And 20% extra cash. Ronak, would you like 20% extra cash? Seeing you're 29, we can talk about it. We can certainly bring you in. So hurry, your team is there now. We want to make sure you have that team. Again, My 11 Circle. All right, back to the teams, guys. I'm going to bring out my... shall I bring out the crystal ball now, guys, or shall I wait? I think I'll wait. We'll leave that till a bit later. There's still a bit of chocolate in there as well. But anyway, Chandrish, I can see the intensity in your eyes. You have a victor. Who's going to be victorious? Tell me. Let me hear.
RCB.
Now, don't elaborate. You can't just say RCB. You've got to say with great certainty, Royal Challengers Bangalore.
Royal Challengers Bangalore.
That's better.
Because I think they have a slight edge in my view, because they have a slightly better lineup than Sunrisers Hyderabad. So I'm going with RCB.
Yeah, there's no doubt RCB will be in the top 3 this year, in my opinion. Where they'll fit in that top 3, we'll wait and see. Ashish, oh, hello. We're going back to winning some more money. Are we? No, we can't do that. My 11 Circle. In fact, that looks like a picture of Ashish there with the moustache. Is that you, Ashish?
Yeah, I'm looking at the sponsor, but if you can hear me, I would think the difference is not going to be more than a dozen runs, which means 2 hits, which I would think anyone in the 2 sides can hit. So for me, the winner is who hits those 2 extra sixes, and he would take the game.
And that was okay. The name of the team that's going to win?
Yeah, I mean, all 22 could hit those two extra hits. I mean that. So what do I say? See, listen to me. T20 anyway is a game where winners are decided by a couple of hits. The difference is not more than 10, 15, 20 runs. So how could you be so sure about who's going to hit those two extra sixes, or who is going to drop catches, or who is going to have a close shy at the stumps and misses it? So it's the destiny. It's the cricketing gods who smile on you. And this is as truthful as I could be. And I don't want to look foolish when you meet me next and say that you said about Bangalore, which I am saying, but it won't turn out that way.
Ashish, you sound like a politician the more I talk to you. There's more
It's not politician. That's life. That's life. Only idiots are sure about life.
Well, I'm not sure about that. All right, Ronak, don't you be a politician now. Come on, let's have it. Your thoughts, Ronak. Can you hear me?
You're spellbound.
You spelled.
No way. So it's a 50-50 game. I will go for RCB win with Chahal being the man of the match today. I think. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
When have a 50-50 game been shifted to one side? When you say 50-50, you give it equal chance to both. How could Bangalore then be a winner?
Well, sounding very political to me. You
do. I'm saying it's not a game where you can call it.
Okay, but you're saying.
I don't know if you hear me, Norman. RCB with Chahal, I think he will bounce back today. It will be a close match, as Chandresh and Ashish said. It's not going to be like a one-sided thing. But I think Chahal is going to make the difference today.
I think Padikal's going to make a difference today. I think he's going to come out and explode. I think we're going to see this young man's talent today, and Kohli's going to egg him on for sure.
Can I make a prediction?
Yes.
This is a kind of pitch where you can only score well in the first 6-7 overs. Thereafter, when the ball is hard, when the ball is heavy, it comes onto the bat, the field placements are restricted, you make runs. Once the field opens up, the ball becomes lighter. It's an Andre Russell and Dinesh Karthik situation, or the Mumbai Indians situation as it was last night.
Okay, that's a fair point.
So anyone who makes best use of power play.
Agree. And I think top heavy batting lineup.
The top three have to fire for RCB. Likewise for Sunrisers Hyderabad. We've got to see Warner do well this time. My crystal ball's returned. Now, 50-50. Now, I'm not saying 50-50. There's no 50-50 in here. I've got cleared lettering, RCB. That's what I've seen here.
And is this the 11th crystal ball you have? The 10th you have broken previously for predicting wrong?
I beg your pardon. This is the correct one.
Is this the 11th one? Because the 10 previous which you have broken for wrong predictions?
I don't. I think your calculations are off. Certainly off. This has been the win. This is real. This is what you call a crystal ball of crystal balls. I'll have you know. Now, Ashish, when you become leader of the political party, let me know because I'm going to be voting for you. All right. Thanks, guys. This has been a fantastic discussion.
Pleasure.
Chandresh, I want you to smile now. I don't care what the problems you've got there. You may have not got your hot chocolate given to you
I must
earlier.
tell you about Chandresh. He is Mr. ICC. You know that?
Oh.
Yes.
I used to be Mr. ICC.
So if you used to be ICC, what are you now? 1CC?
He's now ex-ICC.
Ex-ICC. Or you just IC, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ronak. Jane, you've been a fantastic Bharat Army representative, but I'm expecting a full wall-to-ceiling photo of your favourite player next time. If you need a photo of me, I can arrange it, but you'll need an extra big wall. So I'll have this warning on that. All right. Ashish is saying on the fence, a little bit RCB. Chandresh is definitely
Thank
RCB.
you so much.
And then I'm RCB. If RCB don't win, we're going to look like fools, aren't we? I'm afraid that's the case. All right. Thanks, guys. It's been a wonderful session. There's about 4 minutes from play. We'll allow people to have listened to us very intently to now get their coffee and tea breaks and even bet on their My 11 circle accounts. All right, guys.
Enjoy. Hit your couch.
Thank you, guys. This is Norman Kochnik here.
Thank you so much.
Extra time. Thank you, Ronak, Chandresh, and Ashish. You've been wonderful. and I think I've been wonderful too. So
Yes,
we'll have a
we would be
lovely
chasing
afternoon.
you. We would be chasing you from now on.
Well, now we're talking about. If you bring in that word chasing it, we'll have to zip that. Next time you pay 10 cents into my, you're going to pay 10 cents into my money, 10 slash my crystal ball. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll join together soon. Let's have a great match. Let's come back post-match and have a great discussion. All the best, guys.
Thank
Go
you.
Barrett Army.
Thank you so much.
So, Norman Koshik, extra time, saying goodbye. It's always a long goodbye. Where's my 11 account? Okay. All right. I think we're finished. You know what? You look tall now.
Thanks.